This video is about a typical day for me as a University of Ghana student. I am a level 400 student, which means here I am in the last level, so I'm in my last year. I'm a senior. I am studying English and linguistics, but while I'm here in Ghana, I will be studying English. I'm also studying Twi, the language. I'm studying dance, and I am also studying history. And I did this because there are classes that I can take here that I cannot take back home. For example, I'm taking Ghanaian literature. Even though there's an African American literature and African American studies department back home at ECU, Ghanaian literature is not an option, and what better place to get Ghanaian literature than here in Ghana? As soon as I saw that class, I was like, I don't care if it doesn't count for anything for my major, I don't care if it's an elective, I don't care if it even goes on my transcript. I want to take this class. So I'm taking Ghanaian literature. I'm also taking a class called the short story. So we read various short stories. They're from African authors, they're from British authors, they're from Americans, Asians, Europeans, widely, like they're just from many different cultures. African Americans, yeah, so that's another class. And also, being an English major, there's a lot of reading, and I knew I wanted to take another English class, but I didn't want one that was too intense on literature because that's a lot to read. So I took a short story. So short stories are between maybe 5 to 6 pages. Some could be like 20 or under, but they're not extremely long stories. Also, I am taking the Twi language class, which I explained in my prior video. It's basically a local language, one of the local languages here in Accra, Ghana. And it's just something very fun to learn. It's challenging, it's new to me, but I'm really enjoying it and, pushing myself beyond my limits. And I'm also taking traditional dance 1. If you know me, you know I cannot dance, so this class is definitely taking me out of my comfort zone. I'm learning traditional African dances to Ghana, like Gahu was the first one we learned. The second one is Ajua. And the last one, I do not remember the name of it, but we're currently learning it now, and it is taking a lot of energy out of me. And even though it's very tiring, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm learning a lot, not only just the moves, but also the meaning behind the moves. Lastly, I am taking a history class, and it is European colonization and African response. So the European nations that came into Africa and exploited and colonized various African countries, who colonized who specifically, where, why, and just becoming a little bit more aware of what actually took place in Africa when colonialism occurred. And it's just something I really wanted to learn a lot about. There are so many people in that class who know way more than me, but I'm using this as a learning opportunity because I didn't come to Ghana to just reiterate things that I already knew. I came here to learn so much more about myself, about my ancestors, my people, about my identity, about this country. So I am doing things that I don't know so that I can know more. I think the easiest way for me to break down a typical day for me is to give you all my schedule. So bear with me. Monday, I have Twi class from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Tuesday, I have my short story class from 7:30 to 9:20 a.m. Wednesday, I have my Ghanaian literature class from 1:30 to 3:20 p.m. On Thursday, I have my history class from 7:30 to 9:20 a.m. Then I have tutorial for that class from 12 to 1 p.m., which is basically an hour-long session, kind of reviewing what we went over in the lecture and also answering questions that we have, or if we have an upcoming exam or paper, we talk about it there. So that's 1 hour. And then from 2 to 3 p.m. I have Twi class, and then 6 to 7:30 p.m. I have my dance class. Friday, I have no classes. So, in addition to those classes, on Monday and Tuesday, I volunteer with a foundation called Play and Learn, and basically underprivileged children from the Accra area. They play football and then they also are tutored. So volunteers like me can either coach or tutor / teach, and I am using the method of teaching. Wow, I just combined tutoring and teaching. I am teaching and tutoring them English. So on Mondays I do that from 4 to 6 p.m. and on Tuesdays I do that from 4 to 5:30 p.m. And it's very rewarding. I love it so much. Like, I tutor 3 girls. I love them so much. Like, they're amazing. They're bright stars. And with my minor, I'm getting a certificate to teach English to speakers of other languages. So I'm applying what I've learned in my linguistics classes to be the best volunteer that I know how. And it's so interesting to me because a lot of what I'm seeing with my own students is stuff that I've read about, and how I'm countering that is just all working together. And even though I have so many tools and resources, sometimes I still find myself asking, am I really helping them? Are they learning anything? And I always want to know what I can do, what I can improve on. And just the other day, one of my girls was like, "Oh, Auntie, I'm tired of writing. We do so much writing. Can we read?" While writing is important, and it's something I really want them to work on because I am tutoring and teaching them English, and in the world we live in, knowing how to do that is important. I'm also, being mindful of what they want to do, and if they want to read, who am I to stop them? So I'm going to get them literature to read that is powerful, that is impactful. And it's not just about knowing how to read, but what does this mean for me as a person? And how can I teach them not just about grammar and about English, but about humanity, about human nature, about mankind, about themselves, about identity, about love, respect, not confining themselves to gender roles, things of that nature. So I try to be more than just a volunteer. I try to be a sister. I try to be a friend. I try to just be there for them in any capacity that they need me. Is so rewarding, and I just love volunteering with them so much. I'm grateful for Play and Learn to give me this opportunity to assist these young girls. So weekends vary for me depending on what's going on. Like, I might have excursions I go on as a group with friends or with my program. There might be different events going on. So, like, for example, last weekend I went to a concert. Or sometimes I might, do a beach weekend with some friends. Or I might do nothing. I might stay here on campus and do homework, whatever. And so I just try to find a balance and not overwhelm myself, because even though I'm in a beautiful place and there's always so much to do, you can constantly be on go, and lose yourself, lose sight of why you even came to this country to begin with. So I try to really balance all of that stuff out for myself. I will say that I love my professors. Like, one of my professors for my English classes, he is my professor for Ghanaian literature and the short story, and he is super nice and super funny and sarcastic. Like, one of the first weeks when classes started, I was completely confused on like how to go about getting textbooks here, about materials that I needed. And so I went to his office hours, and it wasn't just me sitting down and him talking to me about the books. He was like, "Where are you from?" Like, no, not just America, like, where in the United States? What school do you go to? How are you finding Ghana so far? Just really wanting to get to know me as a person, and I really appreciated that. And I'm super excited to know that, like, the professors here are very friendly. It's not like this power hierarchy in the sense that, like, oh, I'm the professor, you're the student. If I see you around campus, I'm not going to speak to you. Like, they even, like, WhatsApp us. Like, it's so cool. It's so chill. It's super less stressful than I would say compared to professors and classes back home. So I came up with 3 questions that people usually ask me when they want to know about UG student life. And the first one is, what are your classes like there? Mine are reading intensive, so I can have a reading for my Ghanaian literature class. I can have an entire novel that's 200 plus pages, and I have to read that by the time we meet next week. So what's different about here is classes usually meet once a week for 2 hours, unless it's a practical class like dance. So that meets twice a week for an hour and a half. And that really depends on the person, whether they look at that as a good thing or a bad thing. For me, that's good because I can space out my work and do it how I want to, and I don't have to rush and worry about trying to get 100, 200 pages of reading done within 2 days for the next class. So I really take advantage of having a week. And then also, for some people that can be really bad because they can say, oh, well, I have a week, I can wait, and I can wait. And then before you know it, it's the night before class and 6 days went by and you're like, oh, well, I haven't done anything. So that's the setup for me. I personally enjoy it because I am more so an independent student. I don't need a teacher holding my hand reminding me to do an assignment, so I like it in that sense. Another question I thought of is, what are exams like? I've only had 2 exams so far. My first exam was a practical one for dance. So they basically teach us the dance, and we have to dance and try our best, and then the exam is doing the dance. So I honestly just kind of like psyched myself out. I feel like I got a little nervous when it became my turn to actually dance. So I kind of like did not put forth my best foot. I did not perform to my highest ability the way that I wanted to. But that was that exam. I still don't have a grade for that. I probably should ask a professor or someone about that. And then I had my history exam. So it was 2 parts to that. The first part was 5 fill in the blanks, and the second part was choosing one of 3 essay questions and writing your essay on that. Now that, I'm gonna be honest, it was out of 15 points, 15, 1-5, and I got 10. So if I'm doing my math correctly, that's a 66, which rounds to a 67. Now, this is the thing, it was my fault. I got the exam, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. I got like 3 out of 5 on the top part, and then 7 out of 10 on the second part, so that gives me my points. But I was like, this is so easy. And then I'm like making stupid mistakes, like not explaining myself to the best of my ability in my essay, and then just doing the most on my fill in the blanks when writing a whole sentence when only 1 or 2 words were needed. So I definitely know what to expect for my final exam, which is like 80% of the class, so I really need to worry about that one. But those are the only 2 exams I've had so far, and I'm not quite sure if I will have any more IAs, and that's basically midterm here. So that's that. And another question, the last question I have for myself is, what type of assignments do you have? Kind of already touched on that with English. It's a lot of reading. I've had to do a couple of writing assignments. With history, it's mostly reading. You have to do a little bit of writing. Dance is practicing the dances that you get, because I'm telling you, if you don't, or if you miss class, you will fall behind, and it shows that you didn't come to class, or that you aren't trying beyond what you need to do in class. In Twi class, it's just practicing the language with my friends. If I'm at the night market and I'm feeling confident talking to the sellers in Twi. So that's usually what it is for me. A lot of the assignments are like hard copies. You turn them in physically, and it's not like online submission, which is what I'm used to. So that's what I would say it's like here. Something else is the printing situation. I'm used to like being able to print just about anywhere on campus for free, and it being all inclusive in my fees. But here, you go to different printing stations. Like there are printing stations in some halls and some department buildings, not all though. And you have to pay out of pocket every time you print something. So most places will charge you 20 pesos, which are the coins, to print 1 page. if there is an internet with a computer, they will use a flash drive. So I'm really glad that I brought my flash drive from home. I didn't think I would need it, but I actually do. So that's the printing situation. And then internet, my dorm's internet, I am not a fan of it. You know, I don't really need it that much other than to do homework or when I want to go on social media occasionally or whatever. But I've noticed, I live on the top floor, so there are 4 floors, depending on how you look at it, there are 4 floors. I'm on the top floor. The first and the third floor, which are of course both guy floors, they have the best Wi-Fi. I actually go to the third floor to post these videos. Like, I literally stand by the router or sit on the steps of the third floor and post these videos. There was one week when there was a bad storm, like just rain, and it knocked the Wi-Fi off on in my hostel for about a week. And then also power was out on campus for like 2 days, so I actually had to go off campus to you know, like coffee cafes, internet cafes, to like get some stuff done that I needed to do online for homework, and just, you know, just getting out of my room a little bit, because sometimes just sitting around can be you know, I don't want to say depressing, it can just be very, like, I don't know, downing, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's that situation. You know, you can join the chess club or whatever type of club. I have not really taken advantage of that, because I told myself this semester I don't want to be, you know, worried about having to do a whole lot. Like, I wanted to study abroad, number one, study, but I wanted to be abroad. So I didn't want to, like, you know, commit myself to too many clubs or volunteer opportunities. So I haven't really looked into those. Orientation, there were organizations who talked about different things that they do. Recently we had a hall week, so there was like music, kind of like what's going on outside now. I really don't know what's going on outside right now though. There was music, there was food, you know, clothing for sale. So just different things like that are going on. And you know, there's always something to do, whether you're just chilling in a parking lot with a friend or you go out somewhere off campus. Like, there's a lot of student life, student involvement, things of that nature. And the last thing I want to talk about is what it's like making friends. It's been very interesting to me, like, making friends. Most of the friends that I've made honestly haven't been in classes. Like, I've met a couple of friends in class, but the friends that I primarily make are here in the international student hostel. And I believe that has a lot to do with the dynamic of the classes. Like I said before, you only meet in your classes about once a week, so unless you you know, really link up with this person outside of the class, you see them once a week. But staying here in the dorms, you see each other, you know, multiple times a day. So it's very interesting in that sense, how it is making friends. I feel like back home for me, it's a lot easier to make friends. I don't really know why, because the people here are very friendly. So I really don't know why, but the people who I have met, they're super cool. It's super awesome. Like, the girls will say, I want to be your friend, and like, you won't even know them. Like, you could just be walking down the street and they'll be like, I want to be your friend. Like, after they ask you like 2 questions, what's your name, where are you from, and then you like become WhatsApp friends, I guess you can say. You know, add each other on WhatsApp. And I just think that's a very interesting way to make friends and meet people. But obviously they're, you know, different cultures, different ways of going about it. But for me, that's really what I wanted to say about life as a student. I definitely have felt a lot less anxious in the sense of you know, classwork and assignments. And I just believe it's because of the way that, you know, school is structured here. It's, you know, it's not the end of the world if you don't, you know, finish university in 4 years. It's not a big deal if you don't start at 17 or 18 years old. And I feel like the pressure that America puts on its students to, you know, 4 and be done, it's just a lot. And I'm definitely loving the structure of my classes here. I'm loving the classes that I'm taking here in Ghana. I'm super grateful for, you know, just this semester that I'm having overall. I love being a student at UG. I love being an international student, and I definitely recommend coming to Accra, Ghana, being a University of Ghana student, because it's a beautiful, phenomenal, like truly life-changing experience that you won't get in any other country.